Hey guys, it's Miss A again. Sorry about the little shout that we have today. I'm doing it from home, so my lighting's a little bit different. Today we're going to be going over percent problems again. We started it yesterday. We did the first two examples that were on this note sheet. Remember, if you're at home, I do expect you to be writing down the examples, okay? Everything that's typed, like the actual word problem, this stuff up here, I don't expect you to write all of that down unless you want to, but the examples are extremely important and you must write all those down because that's what we're actually doing. So make sure you write everything basically that I write in my pen. So we're going to go over the second one just real quick, so you don't have to write. You can just listen to me. And then we'll get started on a couple more examples. It says Macy raked 40% of the yard. The raked leaves filled up 12 bags. How many bags will she need if she rakes the whole yard? So remember, we are setting up WKUs, a word ratio or fraction, a known ratio, and an unknown ratio. The unknown will always have your X or your variable. That's what we're solving for. Your known will always have two numbers because know means you know the numbers. So we know both numbers that are here. So the first thing you need to look at, and what I was seeing some mistakes of kids in class yesterday, was they were forgetting that a percent, or they could tell me that a percent was out of 100, but they weren't writing it out of 100. The very first thing you should always do on these problems, at least right now in Unit 1, is always look for a percentage. Because if there is a percent like we have here, 40%, you're automatically going to write it as a fraction as 40 over 100. So that's our known ratio, our known fraction. So it's going to go here, 40 over 100. Then my words that go with those two numbers, 40 represented the leaves that were raked. So I put raked beside it. And then 100 is always going to be your total. And the last number we had to fill in somewhere was the number 12. This represented the raked leaves. So the raked leaves filled up 12 bags. So 12 bags went with raked leaves. So raked was on top, so we put 12 on top. And then we put the X because that's what we're solving for. It also should match the question. The question should say how many total or how many in all, something like that. How many bags will she need if she rakes the whole yard? So that makes sense. So now to solve it, we pull out that proportion. 40 over 100 equals 12 over X. And we look for a relationship going across. I can't use this one quite yet because there's an X here. But I can use the 40 and the 12. But we realize that there's no way to get from 40 to 12 by dividing because it got smaller. So we simplified the fraction first. Instead of dividing by 10, actually, we just crossed off a 0, getting me 4 over 10. And now 4 times 3 will get me this number of 12. So all I have to do to keep it equivalent is multiply 10 times that same number. Don't change it. 10 times 3 would give me my answer of 30 total bags. And then I showed you how we could have broken it down with the strip diagram. 0% to 100%. Then we know that 40% was raked in the bags. So we broke it into sections of 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I know that 40% was equal to 12 bags. Divide it by 2 because there was 2 sections that make up 40% and you get 6. And then add them all up to get the total. All right. This was on yesterday's video. Let's go over another example today. So again, if you're in class with me, you should have these notes on your, you should have these notes. I gave them to you yesterday in class. Everybody at home, you are expected to write down the notes, even though you don't have the paper. Just write down what I write. Okay, sorry, let me try to get this straightened back up. All right, and focus. Number 3. Sorry, guys. Number 3, 90% of the ducks in the pond. Are you kidding me? 90% of the ducks in the pond were swimming. If 45 ducks were swimming, how many were in the pond? All right, so 90% of the ducks, but it's not 90% were ducks. 90% of the ducks that were in the pond, they were swimming. So that keyword that goes with 90% is not ducks, it's swimming ducks. If 45 ducks were swimming, so we know 90% was swimming, but that's also 45 total ducks that were swimming. And then the question is, how many were actually in the pond? So we want to know how many there were total. So we're going to set up a WKU. First thing we should look for always is a percent. They gave me 90%. So I know for a fact that 90% can be written as a fraction as 90 over 100. So because I know that, I'm going to put it in my known ratio. The percentage will never go over another number. You'll never put 90% over 45. Never put 90% over 300. You'll always put the percentage over the number 100. Now let's fill in those words that go along with them. So 90%, what word goes with it? 90% of the ducks in the pond were swimming. So I'm going to put swim. And then obviously 100 has to be your total. 100 will always be your total. And then we have one other number, 45, and we have to represent, put it here, and we need to see, does it represent swimming or total ducks? If 45 ducks were swimming, so we know 45 were swimming, so it should go on top with swimming. And your X goes here. Let's pull out that proportion. 90 over 100 is equal to 45 over X. And can't look here because there's an X, but I can look for a relationship here. 90 divided by something equals 45. Well, I could do 90 divided by 2. That would work. But let's say that you don't see that automatically. But you do see that these two numbers have a 0 at the end. So you could reduce it by 10 or just cross off a 0 from both numbers. I like 9 and 10 much more than 90 and 100. So now I can see from 9 to get to 45, I can multiply by 5. 9 times 5 is 45. So I'm going to do the same thing here. 10 times 5 gives me my answer of 50. This was at the bottom. The question was asking for how many were in the pond. So 50 ducks in the pond. If I had done it 90 divided by 2 equals 45, 100 divided by 2 would have gotten me 50 as well. So there was multiple ways we could have solved it. And I did want to show you one more time that strip diagram. Because sometimes that strip diagram is, right now, that's the only way we know how to, the only way we're going to know how to solve it. So we've got 0% and we have 100%. And the percentage that was given to me in the problem was 90. So the only way I can break it down and get 90 in equal sections is going to be 10. Again, when you're drawing, it doesn't have to be perfect. 1, 2, 3. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections. So we have 10%, 20, 30, 40. And then we know from the problem that 90%, so everything all the way over here, was swimming, which was 45. So to know how many go in each of these sections, 45 takes up 9 of those sections. 45 divided by 9 gets me 5. So if we want to know how many were in the pond altogether, if we know this is 45 and then we have one more section we need to add to it, 45 plus 5 makes 50. Alright, and then one more example is number 4. 13 out of 20 jelly beans are green. So 13 out of 20 jelly beans. So both of these represent jelly beans. 13 is jelly beans and 20 are jelly beans. But more specifically, a number of them are green. And that number was 13. 13 out of the 20 total were green. Question says what percent, so this is a little bit different. We're not given the percent here. What percent of the jelly beans are green? We're still going to set up a WKU. We're going to ask ourselves, we're going to look for a percent. They do not give me a percent. The question is what percent. So when you don't know the percent, you're automatically going to put X because it's unknown and it still goes over 100. Automatically. And we're not going to put it in our known column because we don't know it. It's unknown. 100 has to be your total word. And then we're solving for what word? What percent of the jelly beans are green? So what percent are green? Alright, now we need to figure out what do we know. Do we know how many are green? 13. Do we know how many there are total? 20% total, or not 20%, 20 total. And now we're going to solve that proportion. We can't do a strip diagram here because there's no percentages. So we're just going to take 13 over 20, set it equal to X over 100. Can't look for a relationship here because there's an X, but I can find one here. 20 times 5 gets me 100. Do the same exact thing here on top. 13 times 5 will get me my answer. So remember, it's okay to show your work. 13 times 5. You would do 5 times 3 first. You get 15. Carry the 1. 5 plus 1 makes 6. So my answer is 65% were green. Alright guys, I know this video again was longer. I hate when they're long, but this is just a really important topic that takes a lot of thinking. So please feel free to go back and rewatch the examples as you go. Get them all written down and then rewind it and rewatch it. I think that's a good idea, so then you're not focused on what you're writing, you're focused on what I'm saying and just watching the video. But make sure you write these down. Y'all have a great day. Let me know if y'all have any questions. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.